Now, WBOC News at 6, Delmarva's news leader.
A confirmed tornado touches down in Sussex County with ferocious winds, leaving behind tons of damage.
I could not believe the damage it had done and how much it had tore up.
And today, families left to assess that damage as emergency crews work to restore power. Good evening to you. I'm Todd Curley.
And I'm Steve Hammond. Welcome to WBOC News at 6 o'clock. Yep, down trees and power lines, roofs ripped off of houses. That's just some of the damage reported after turbulent weather brought a tornado to Sussex County very early this morning. This afternoon, the National Weather Service officially rated it as an EF2 tornado with wind speeds in the area of 120 miles an hour. According to the National Weather Service, the twister was about 50 yards wide. It traveled more than 6 miles on the ground, leaving a lot of destruction in its wake, especially near Laurel and Seaford. WBOC's Tom Lehman joins us live from the Laurel area tonight. And Tom, entire buildings were leveled by this tornado.
Steve, you can see right behind me where this garage for boats used to stand. It was demolished because of that EF2 tornado that blew its way through this area. That storm caused a lot of damage and crushed a lot of homes with heritage. Tony Santiago found himself cutting through wood with a chainsaw outside the now battered home he grew up in, next to sheds torn up by a tornado.
I got here, I pulled in the driveway, and I teared up. My first thing, make sure Pop's okay.
Tony was part of a family effort cleaning up the mess from the early morning tornado. Jim Lambden's son lived in the home. He was shocked to find how bad the damage was to the century-old structure.
The wind came through like a train about 100-some miles an hour and took all the buildings down, part of the roof off the house.
Nearby, this decades-old farm store building had fallen. On the same property, the third floor of this farmhouse had been ripped away, shocking even the builder who will soon be working on the property.
Quite a bit of damage. I've been around here for 30 years, and this is the most damage I've seen it.
When that third floor came off the building, it also damaged the truck and car across from it. The tornado also ripped this attachment off the house. Back at the home we showed you earlier, there was one surprise found underneath all that debris. A pair of chicks were found underneath a part of the home that had fallen. They were reunited with other chicks that had survived.
There might be more.
Might be more.
One big issue with this storm and the aftermath is all the stuff that was housed inside of all of these buildings. A lot of the stuff inside of these buildings has been littered across fields around here, and those fields are going to have to be cleaned before they can be farmed. Another issue has simply been the wind itself. It's been fairly windy out here today, and that has prevented a lot of crews from working on buildings and repairing them. Reporting live in Sussex County, Tom Lehman, WBOC News, Laurel.
Tom, thanks. As we mentioned, that tornado moved from Laurel through the Seaford area. And for more on its path, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Dan Satterfield in the Storm Tracker Weather Center. Dan?
Yeah, well, Todd, I can tell you, just looking at that video, there is really no doubt here. This was an EF2 tornado. One is that this is really rare for here in April on Delmarva. Normally, the Chesapeake Bay protects us. You're looking now at the video of the damage. You're also looking at what we saw on the Doppler radar last night. EF1, EF2 tornadoes can be really hard to spot on radar. This one, though, right around the time it started doing damage, definitely did show up. We could track it quite clearly as it passed near the Georgetown area. Now, I'll tell you, officially, the Weather Service says the width of the path was 50 yards and it lasted for about 6.2 miles. Our chopper coverage, though, does see some damage all the way to Broadkill Beach. Our weather watcher out there, Gary Liska, he also said that he could see some little debris blown around there as well and some trees down. And I did track that cell right to Broadkill Beach. So it was a mean cell and a very rare one for this time of the year. Back to you.
All right, Dan, thank you. Some homes on Delmarva remain without power tonight after the tornado. Delmarva Power says at one point about 7,000 customers had outages. WBOC's Faith Woodard joins us live from Laurel. And Faith, power crews are still scrambling to restore electricity to some homes.
Absolutely. I'm here right off of Route 13 in Laurel, where there has been extensive damage to a lot of buildings and homes in this area. And there were a lot of downed power lines earlier today. And right here, you can see that there's a lot of debris, and there were a lot of downed power lines earlier today. And a lot of the Delmarva power companies that we spoke with said that it's been really difficult trying to get things back up and working. And Delmarva Power says that they have been working since around 3 this morning to restore power and clear the area. They estimate that there were around 20 power lines that were down today, and they say they still have about 555 homes left in Seaford in the Sussex County area and Laurel to explore.
We urge any of our customers that don't have electric to give us a call and call our customer service line to let us know that. But we want them to be reassured that this is a large emergency situation. And
now, Delmarva Power says this is an all-hands-on-deck effort, but they do want their customers to remain patient, saying that this is an emergency and it will take time for them to restore all of the homes that there are left. Reporting live in Sussex County, Faith Woodard, WBOC News, Laurel.
All right, Faith, thanks. Many of you were probably startled awake in the middle of the night by an emergency alert on your cell phone urging you to seek shelter. The first alert on Delmarva came shortly before 3 a.m. It was pushed out by the National Weather Service and went to most smartphone owners, waking up many sound sleepers.
No sooner as I seen the alert, all of a sudden I heard all this wind and everything. I had the windows slightly open, so I had to shut them. The rain was pounding on the windows. It's pretty horrific.
Well, it was my wife. I was sleeping soundly, and she woke me up. She had a hard time waking me up, but she then told me that there was a tornado warning, so we got up, and then we went into the downstairs into the middle bathroom, which didn't have any windows, and we were there for about, I guess, 40 minutes until it passed.
At least 6 tornado warnings were issued across the peninsula in the early morning hours.
You know, that sound certainly gets your attention, especially in the middle of the night. The good news is there were no deaths or serious injuries connected with this tornado. There are, though, dozens of areas where the destruction can be easily seen. And WBOC's Chris Weimer joins us now on the Newsplex. And Chris, Chopper 16 followed the tornado's path from Laurel to Georgetown.
Yes, Steve, unfortunately, it wasn't hard for Chopper 16 to find the damage, then follow its path. The power behind this storm turned some buildings and homes into piles of wood and metal.
While the impact of Monday morning's powerful storms may best be understood from the ground and hearing from the people who are left to pick up the pieces, no view captures the scope of the damage better than the view from Chopper 16. In Laurel, houses and buildings ripped apart, some with roofs torn off, others almost vaporized. The only sign a building once stood is the foundation that survived. The path the tornado took can still be seen, flying over broken tree limbs and scattered debris, a trail of metal and wood that, when followed, leads to scenes like this along Seaford Road. Neighborhoods destroyed. The mess so immense there's no real telling where one neighbor's problem ends and the other's begins. Dozens of giant trees toppled over in the same direction, as if signaling where the violent storm went next. The damage so widespread that images like this, a delivery truck on its side, are nearly overlooked. But it's not overlooked by those who have to write it, nor those who have to assess the damage, clean it up, and then decide what's next.
Among all the damage we could see from Chopper 16, there's another thing we didn't mention. That's all the people we could see out and about, whether it were crews working on power lines or the people just helping pick up. There is no doubt it will take a lot of hands moving forward.
All right, Chris, thanks. Those strong winds even overturned a trailer in Georgetown. Skycam 16 shows what's left of Sean Sullivan's home on Asbury Road. He was at his mother's house when the storm literally flipped his trailer and knocked down at least 30 trees. Sullivan says he is still in awe.
A couple of days it's going to settle in when I come out a couple of times and, realize, everything in there that I have is, upside down and half of probably destroyed, or just have to go through everything and see what's what.
Sullivan says he was also hit in the face by a flying tree limb from the lingering winds in Georgetown.
And in nearby Seaford, Betty Nelson also experienced the storm's wrath. It knocked down many trees on her property, shattered the glass on her back patio, ripped out the gutters, and tossed around patio furniture. Nelson is 88 years old and says this is the worst storm she's ever seen.
It was just terrible, and I was just cringing because I thought any minute the whole house was just going to blow away. I was very frightened.
Betty, we're glad you're okay tonight. And she says her power was out for most of the day in Seaford.
Also in the past of last night's storm, numerous chicken houses. As WBOC's Isabel Sanchez shows us, they were no match for those strong winds.
Just to give you an idea of how powerful this storm was, take a look at that. That's a chicken house, completely destroyed, debris all over the place. And that's not everything. Take a look at this. This is a telephone pole, completely ripped in half. Where's the other half, you ask? Right there, across the street, completely tossed around with the debris from this chicken house. And wait until you hear what the neighbors have to say about how they felt when the storm hit overnight.
It sounded like a freight train going by.
There's barely anything left of these chicken houses of Camp Road in Laurel, seen here from Skycam 16. No match for the tornado.
We heard our phones with a weather alert saying a tornado watch. And of course, you look outside, you can't see anything, it's dark.
Brian Whaley lives next door to where the tornado hit. He woke up to devastation in his neighborhood.
The irrigation, evidently, it got turned over. The neighbors over here, they said a couple of their buildings got blown over. They've lost part of their roof. Right down from our house, there's some sycamore trees across the power lines.
Debris scattered across the fields, pieces of wood and metal littered across the area.
Property can be replaced. Live scan.
The aftermath of a night people in Laurel won't soon forget. In Sussex County, Isabel Sanchez, WBOC News, Laurel.
Viewer photos of the storms pouring in. Check this one out. News watcher Angel Malabet caught this lightning strike outside a car wash. This is in Lewis. Take a look at that bolt streaking across the sky. Thanks for sharing, Angel. We've created a gallery of storm photos from our news watchers. You can check out that album on the WBOC Facebook page.
Well, agriculture through the ages. As we continue to celebrate WBOC's 65th anniversary, we take a look at one of Delmarva's largest industries.
Coming up here at 6, how farming practices have changed over the last 6.5 decades.